For this video here, I'm going to solve this quadratic, and I'm going to do that by using the quadratic formula. Wrote it out over here. And before we use the quadratic formula, we need to make sure that we set our equation equal to 0. So let's start off doing that. I'm going to move my 15 over to the other side. So I'm going to get a 6x squared minus 2x minus 15 equals 0. Now that's equal to 0, I can find my roots, my solutions, my zeros using quadratic formula. So let's figure out what A is. A is 6, B is negative 2, and C is negative 15. So here we go. Now we're just plugging stuff in to my quadratic formula. So let's do that. X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C. That's all over 2a. A couple quick things to point out. Notice the use of parentheses. I know I stress them a lot, but they're important because it's going to help you not lose sight of any negatives you have here. It's easy to trip up. Maybe sometimes if you expect to put down negative 2 and you drop the parentheses, you might forget that it really is the negative of negative 2. I think this looks a little confusing, so use those parentheses. And also over here, I use parentheses when I'm plugging in the C and the A here. It's clear that we're multiplying all these things and that we're going to have a negative times a negative. So that's going to give me a positive. So I'm a really big fan of using those parentheses to save us from any simple negatives or dropping any negatives, any simple mistakes like that. So here we go. X equals, let's clean this up a little bit. 2 plus or minus the square root of, this will be 4 plus 360. All over 12. So now let's add these two things together here. X equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 364. That's all over 12. From here, I want to start simplifying this radical. So let's do that. Let's, off to the side here, I want to split up the square root of 364 into a perfect square factor. And I see that's going to divide into root 4 times root 91. I chose that because I know that this is a perfect square, so this is going to be 2 root 91. If you're having any trouble simplifying these, check out one of my videos on simplifying square roots. That should help you with this. But for here, I'm going to be fine with reducing this down or simplifying this down to 2 times the square root of 91. So let's put that into my quadratic formula. So this is 2 plus or minus 2 root 91 all over 12. And at this point, I want to split this up. Really, this is kind of like two fractions. I can imagine here's one fraction, 2 over 12, and then here's another fraction, 2 root 91 over 12. So you know what, let's split this up into my two fractions. I've got x equals 2 over 12 plus or minus 2 root 91 over 12. And look at this. Here I can cancel some stuff out. So this is going to reduce to 1 over 6. And over here, that reduces to a 1. That reduces to a 6 also. So my final solutions here are going to be x equals, let's try that again. X equals 1/6 plus or minus root 91 over 6. And remember, this does mean two solutions because of the plus or minus. I have one solution where I have 1/6 plus square root of 91 over 6, and one solution is 1/6 minus the square root of 91 over 6. As a bonus, I want to show you just how to check this using Desmos.com. So if you're feeling comfortable about getting here, that's great. You can stop the video, move on. But if you want to know how to check this using Desmos, stick with me another minute here. So what I'm going to do is I want to graph this equation, and I'm going to go back to when I set this equal to 0. If I wanted to make this not equal to 0, but equal to y, instead, I can type in this equation and look for my roots. So let's do that. Over here, I've got y equals, I believe it's 6x squared. And I'm already forgetting, I think is it 5x? 2x. Minus 2x minus 15. And sure enough, here is my parabola. We can zoom out, check that this thing actually is a parabola. It's concave up, it's narrower than the parent function, all those good things. And if I zoom in onto my roots, here I've got these two roots, negative 1.423 and positive 1.757. Well, that doesn't really look like these things that we had before. I had a sixth and root 91 and all these things. So let's remind ourselves that these are what we call exact solutions. And what I have for my Desmos graph here are these decimal approximations. So we need to check to make sure that these are in fact the same numbers. So you know what I'll do on the next line, and you could do this in your calculator as well. I'm going to type in 1/6 plus the square root of 91 and divide that by 6. And sure enough, this would be if I took the positive or the plus solution here, 1/6 plus all of this. I just type that in and I get 1.75656533, which is this root. So that's good. Check. We got that one correct. Let's check that negative root. I'm going to type in 1/6 now minus the square root of 91 over 6. And sure enough, look at that. We've got negative 1.423, which is this one. So we did do this correctly. Here's my decimal approximation, and these two solutions are my exact answers. So I hope that helps, and there you have it.